All right, welcome to our second podcast. I appreciate you guys tuning in. This one's going to be an interesting subject. It's something that kind of happened recently with us, and we have, like we mentioned before, we have a child in the MTC right now, and she had mentioned to us that everybody in her district has snuck in a cell phone. Most of them brought them in the day that they got there. One is having them shipped. So that created kind of a thought process for me. I did post on a group, I guess, thing on Facebook, and I'll tell you what I posted. I posted a short rant. Apparently, the MTC has a big problem of missionaries in bringing in their cell phones or their personal unmonitored cell phones with their parents' knowledge. My daughter is in there now, and she said everybody in her district has brought their personal cell phones, and one parent even mailed her cell phone after the fact. What is wrong with these parents? We need to raise strong children. Well, that caused a fury of conversation, and this is on like an LDS. I don't think it's a sponsored LDS website, but it's someone that has created this, and they have rules and regulations, and it got so heated, I guess they had to
took it down.
They had to take it down. So
They're like, we're done with this.
yeah,
Like,
so there was close to 1,000 comments, close to 1,000 like likes and hearts and angry faces, and it was interesting because I thought most parents would be on board, but I guess that was silly to think because these parents are paying for the cell phone and allowing their kids to bring the cell phone into the MTC. So I had to have a conversation with my daughter and about this. So first, let me kind of set the stage so you guys know that they're not supposed to have their cell phones. That is, we believe in the first law of heaven is obedience, and when they first before they they'll get their start their mission, they have about a week to a week and a half of their mission at home, and a few days before they fly out, they have a video conference with the mission president at the MTC. And they say multiple times, leave your personal cell phone at home, that you don't need it. We're going to give you a cell phone right when you get into the MTC. And then on top of that, me and my wife, we took our daughter to the MTC.
we flew her out. We
Yeah.
went with her and we took her and dropped her off in the parking garage.
Yeah.
And we took her cell phone then, so she didn't have to navigate any like airport or anything without us.
Yeah.
But
And obviously, not all the parents can do that or do
Right.
that. They just don't want to, or it's the extra cost or whatever the case might be. And there's a little bit of a different dynamic when you're just shipping your kid out. But either way, they're told
Leave 'em.
not to bring their
Yeah.
cell phone. And then when they get to the MTC, for those that haven't experienced this, you drive in and you go in like a underground garage. This sounds a little sketchy, but it's not.
dropping off in an underground garage.
Yeah, you drop them off in an underground garage. But you get out, there's a missionary that's there, like a younger missionary that's there assigned to receive the missionary and take her to her dorm area and where she's going to be at. And that missionary made sure she said to us, the cell phone has got to stay. And they made sure that, she said that a couple times. It's not like she was.
They wanted to make sure it was turned over.
Right.
Because I mean, the rules are there for a reason. They're not arbitrary. And I always say that with all the laws and policies of the church. They're there for a reason. They're there to keep you safe and for your growth.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the importance of obeying that a little bit later. But so anyway, they're told twice. There's a lot of back and forth discussion on, well, no, they can have their personal cell phones, and maybe at some time they were. I was surprised that a lot of people are saying that, but that cell phone rule, to have a cell phone, that I don't know exactly when that changed, but literally within 20 minutes is what we were told. When they get into the MTC, they will be given a cell phone. So they get that cell phone pretty much right away. Now, why would you need two cell phones? You don't. So one thing that when Evie brought this to us, our daughter, when she brought this to us, she, was kind of in a roundabout way asking, "Is it okay if you ship me my cell phone?"
Well, she
Since,
brought it up to me first
yeah,
because
tell the
I was the one
story.
who originally had the conversation with her. And she said, Mom, everyone has their cell phone here. I'm the only one that doesn't have my cell phone. And my companion, she told her mom that everyone's got the cell phone. And now she's shipping her the cell phone. And I go, your dad's not going to allow that. And she said, I know. That's why I'm not asking, Dad. That's why I'm asking you. And kind of jokingly around, knowing that I'm probably a little more of the tender-hearted one, and I'm the one that probably has a little more anxiety about her going. And as a parent, that was hard for me to, have to tell her no, because for a moment there, I was like, I'm going to ship her the cell phone.
Yeah.
But, after we discussed a little more and after a lot of prayer, I decided that, you know, it's the rules are there for a reason. And I always told our girls that the rules are there for a reason. Nothing is arbitrary. So,
Yeah. And on P Day, so she had called me after she had talked to you, and she was around a lot of her the missionaries there, and she had me on speaker, and she said, "Well, I didn't know she had me on speaker." Well, no, I think I did know she had me on speaker, but she said, "Hey, what do you think about missionaries bringing in their personal cell phones for different reasons?" And I, I related her the story of Lot's wife. And the reason why I did that is because Lot was, told to leave Sodom and Gomorrah because that area become so wicked. And he also said, "Don't look back." And Lot was obedient to that, but Lot's wife, unfortunately, um, didn't look back, or I'm sorry, looked back, and she
mhm.
turned into salt. And I think we relate this to a lot of times we relate this to sin, and this isn't necessarily sin. When you repent, you don't look back. You move forward. You stop sinning.
I think that's kind of funny how you mentioned that. Like, he told Lot not to look back, but the wife did. And in that moment, I thought about, well, you didn't look back, and I did, because I was the one that was going to send her the cell phone.
Yeah. So I think it's important for just in general, for whether we're dealing with personal sin or something like this, where it's more of a rule and regulation to help keep them safe, that we don't look back. They don't need those cell phones. They might give you a reason like, "Hey, wonder if I need to call you for X, Y, and Z." That's super rare. And remember, they have their own, phones that the church gives them, so they don't actually need that. And I guarantee you, an 18, 19-year-old adult is going to be very tempted to use that to contact friends, to do things that really aren't authorized to use a cell phone while you're on your mission. And that's a time where we really consecrate. For those that aren't members of our church, it might seem a little silly that we're even having this discussion, but it's a time where we're supposed to consecrate that specific year and a half or 2 years to just serve God and really leave everything else behind. Shouldn't worry about the drama that's happened with your friends or even with with family. You should kind of be a little bit separated from that.
Yeah.
That way you can just focus on bringing this good message to those that need it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're encouraged even when we talk to our missionaries that we don't bring up drama. We stay very positive with them because they're in a situation where things can probably get stressful, and they're talking to a lot of different people, and they want to make sure that they stay in the right mindset to be a servant of the Lord.
Yeah. And I think, a lot of this stuff or a lot of, the parents that are allowing this to happen, there's a lot of anxieties.
Yeah.
I've always kind of, I have all daughters, and I've always kind of preached the importance to them serving a mission, and how that can really strengthen them. But I do want to point out that it was hard to send Evie on a mission.
You
Uh,
cried.
I did cry. And I always told the
I
girls,
didn't
like,
cry yet.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm gonna be so happy you guys are out and on your own and those types of things. And I was super like, you know, and in my mind, I thought that's how it would be. But man, that first day when I dropped her off,
Yeah,
I was a
I can.
baby.
Yeah.
Everything made me cry. I would go
Hmm.
to the ice cream place. I think we went there first to try to,
We
you
went
know,
bowling first, but yeah.
oh, bowling first, and I think I cried during bowling. And then I cried at the ice cream place, and then we went to DI, and I started to cry at the as DI is like a what? What do we compare that to? You know, here it's like a
Goodwill.
Goodwill. But yeah, I was pretty emotional that first day, and then after that I was fine. But it is hard. So I get like parents have anxieties of putting their kid on an airplane, but I think it's good for you parents to be able to prepare your kids for that. So if you do travel with your kids, well, you know what I do is I tell my kids, okay, we're going to B13, get us there. And all they have to do is look up at the signs and they can follow the
Yeah.
signs and get themselves there. It's not, you know, there's a lot of people at an airport. So there's a lot of anxiety. I think that people that haven't traveled, especially if they've never traveled or went on an airplane,
Hmm.
I can see that. But, you know, we've got YouTube, we've got videos. They can research, you know, how to navigate the Midway airport or whatever it might be. So, I would just be careful of finding those types of excuses of why they might need
Justifications. I would
just,
say more justifications than excuses because,
yeah,
um,
that's probably a better word for it. Justifying the reasons why, oh, if they're traveling through an airport, they might need this. Another excuse, or I'm sorry, justifications that we saw on this post, because like I said, I got a lot of comments. Well, wonder if they
yeah, I
get
got a lot
injured.
of traction.
Wonder if they get injured. Well, if they get injured, they have a cell phone. That cell phone works.
Yeah.
Their companion has a cell phone. So they have two cell phones on them at all time. I don't think they need four cell phones for two people. And the risk that you have by having a unmonitored personal cell phone, when you're especially in different scenarios, for example, you know, you might think United States, but you got to remember we send missionaries all throughout the world.
Yeah. And there's lots of countries that they heavily monitor social media posts. So it just takes one bad post to, maybe go to jail or something of the sort. You hear in Europe right now, people have been arrested for their Facebook posts, and in Germany too as well. And so they're not like, Middle Eastern countries that people get arrested for that. It's in Europe. So it's closer than you think. And it's
Right.
in more countries than you think. I think as Americans, we're so very used to having that freedom of speech when it's just not awarded in other countries,
Yeah. Yeah. I was reading,
even Western
I
countries.
think England had arrested like 11,000 people
More than
this
Russia
year.
did.
More than
More
Russia
than Russia, a communist country.
for post
Yeah.
and that, or for, I guess, voicing their,
Yeah.
you know, what they believe. So
And
you
it
do,
won't only get them in trouble, it can get their companion in trouble as well. So, like I said, these rules are not arbitrary. They're there for a reason. They're there to keep you safe and keep you on track.
yeah. So it can get their companion. It can also get the church. I mean, the
Yeah.
church in trouble. If they post something and you know you're an ambassador for Jesus Christ and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints,
Yeah.
and one bad move because they just haven't experienced life to know that there could be some bad repercussions for that action or for that post.
Yeah.
That's dangerous. So we just got to make sure that you know we're being careful, and I think the best way to do that is say, hey, for this year and a half or 2 years, no personal cell phone.
Yeah, and there's an anxiety with parents too, because like I said, I had that anxiety as soon as she told me everyone's sending their cell phone with their kid. You just have to say that little prayer, and you have to have that faith that the Lord's going to keep them protected.
Yep. All right. Well, this was our discussion on missionaries and the importance of them having a cell phone, but not their personal cell phone. Keep those personal cell phones at home. Thanks, and like, subscribe, comment. Appreciate your time today.